the latest episode of which watch, aptly titled Trope-tacular Student Council, delivers one of the most entertaining and meta installments of the series yet. Episode 10 masterfully blends comedy with a surprising end-of-episode twist that sets up what could be the most dangerous threat Nico has faced so far. From anime trope parodies to a sinister plot against our favorite witch, this episode manages to juggle humor and suspense while introducing a whole new cast of eccentric characters. The episode begins on a positive note, showing how Nico has been using her magic to help fellow students, in this case helping someone take aerial photographs. Her magic stone has been changing color, indicating things are going smoothly with her powers. This peaceful opening is quickly interrupted when a rose dramatically stabs into the concrete near Nico and Morihito, heralding the arrival of the student council. Led by Vice President Ibara Ibu, a flirtatious older sister type who throws roses with deadly accuracy, they inform Nico that a new school rule prohibits her from using magic on school grounds because it could endanger students. Morihito immediately jumps to Nico's defense, pointing out that preventing her from using magic she was born with is essentially discrimination. He argues that Nico works hard to help students with her abilities, but Ibara remains unmoved by his reasoning. What follows is perhaps one of the funniest sequences in the show so far, a parade of student council members who are walking embodiments of common anime character tropes. One by one, we're introduced to this cavalcade of clichés: Yuzuru Kenmochi, the Kansai-accented wise guy who never opens his eyes, twin secretary Syrup and Kuramitsu, European-style Lolita Tsundere and Japanese-style horror Kulder, Rairo Takumi, a child genius hacker, Burst, a muscle-bound giant, Kyoki Psycho, a knife-licking psychopath, and Daiki Sakai Mark II, who is literally just a normal student pretending to be a robot by wearing a cardboard box. Morihito hilariously calls them out for being anime tropes, questioning whether such a ridiculous group can even properly perform student council duties. The comedy reaches its peak when student council president Tenryu Kayamiya dramatically descends the stairs, like someone from Takarazuka, as Morihito puts it. In a surprising connection, we learn that Tenryu is the older brother of Suzuka Kayamiya, whom Nico had previously helped with her magic. Despite this connection, he maintains that Nico's magic should be restricted, though he's clearly the most reasonable member of the otherwise absurd council. The true motivation behind the council's approach becomes clear when Tenryu suddenly proposes that Morihito join the student council. According to the president, what they're missing is a cool type obedient fighting character, essentially admitting that they're collecting anime character types. Morihito's descent from ogres makes him even more appealing to Tenryu, who seems obsessed with the concept of kingship and building his perfect student council. 10. When Morihito refuses, Tenryu issues a challenge. If he can land a single strike on Morihito anywhere within the school grounds, Morihito must join the council. This sets up a running subplot where Morihito must avoid being touched by the persistent president. What makes this even more humorous is a video the friends later watch about the student council's activities, which reveals that despite their bizarre personas, they're mostly incompetent at their jobs, with Tenryu doing all the actual work, something Morihito deeply relates to. The second half of the episode shifts focus to introduce a new character and subplot. Nemu Mieo, a girl with the ability to transform into a cat, has developed feelings for Morihito. Too shy to approach him in human form, she visits his house as a cat. Through her internal monologue, we learn this isn't her first visit, and she clearly cherishes these secret interactions with her crush. What follows is a comedic yet somewhat tense sequence where Nico accidentally spills a sticky honey drink on cat-form Nemu, leading Morihito to give her a bath. Nemu's panic is palpable as she knows she'll transform back to human form if she falls asleep during the relaxing bath, a trait of her shape-shifting magic. The scene is played for laughs but also offers insight into Nemu's character, as she poetically describes feeling like Cinderella in a white dress, made of bubbles that will disappear like a dream when the clock strikes. Nemu manages to escape without revealing her identity, but as she wanders away from Morihito's house, something alarming happens. She senses the presence of a warlock nearby and follows the feeling to an abandoned building. There, she overhears a sinister conversation about gathering around 50 people and capturing Nico Wakatsuki. This dramatic revelation ends the main episode, with Nemu realizing she must warn Nico about the impending threat. What makes this episode particularly engaging is how it balances its comedy with genuine character development and plot advancement. The student council members, despite being obvious anime tropes, have distinct personalities that play off each other and are main characters in entertaining ways. Even Tenryu, who initially seems like just another trope, reveals depth when we learn about his fixation on kingship and his complicated relationship with responsibility. The episode also showcases Morihito's protective nature toward Nico, jumping to her defense immediately when the council threatens to restrict her magic. This reinforces their dynamic as familiar and protector, even as Nico continues to harbor romantic feelings for him that he doesn't reciprocate. We see Morihito's strength when he easily deflects an attack from Burst, demonstrating why Tenryu would want him on the council. Nemu's introduction adds another layer to the romantic dynamics of the show. While Nico openly pines for Morihito, Nemu's affection is secretive and expressed through her cat transformation, literally hiding her true self from him. The parallels and contrasts between these two magical girls' approaches to love create interesting narrative possibilities for future episodes. The episode's brilliant meta-commentary on anime tropes serves both as comedy and as a reflection on the show itself. Witch has always played with familiar supernatural romance tropes, but by explicitly calling attention to them through the student council characters, the show demonstrates self-awareness that elevates its humor. Morihito's exasperation at being surrounded by these trope characters mirrors what might be the audience's own reaction to certain overused character types in anime, creating a shared joke between the show and its viewers. What's particularly interesting is how the episode subverts expectations by making these trope characters not the actual threat. Just when viewers might assume the student council will be the antagonists of this arc, the final scene reveals a much more dangerous situation brewing with the Warlock's plan to capture Nico. This clever misdirection uses the council's comedic introduction to distract from the building of a more serious plot thread. The episode's structure, dividing time between the student council introduction and Nemu's story, might initially seem disjointed, but the ending ties everything together. Nemu's discovery of the plot against Nico creates urgency that will likely bring these separate narrative threads together in the coming episodes. Will Nemu warn Nico and Morihito in time? Could the student council, despite their ridiculous appearances, end up being allies against this new threat? These questions create compelling hooks for viewers to return for the next episode. The preview for the next episode, titled Dogs and Raindrops Part 1, suggests that the student council might actually join forces with Morihito against a common enemy, potentially creating unlikely alliances. The line, "We will fight alongside you," indicates a possible shift from antagonists to allies for the council members. Witch Episode 10 exemplifies what makes the series special, its ability to blend supernatural elements with everyday high school situations, its willingness to poke fun at anime conventions while still delivering an engaging story, and its knack for balancing humor with genuine character moments and plot progression. The episode ends on a perfect cliffhanger that transforms what seemed like a comedic filler episode into a crucial setup for what promises to be an exciting arc focused on Nico's safety and the mysterious warlocks who want to capture her. As viewers eagerly await the next installment, they're left with many questions. Who are these warlocks? What do they want with Nico? How will Nemu factor into the main storyline now? And perhaps most amusingly, will Morihito ever escape Tenryu's persistent recruitment attempts? If this episode is any indication, the answers will be both surprising and entertaining.